I'd like to call the Northwood Board of Selectmen's meeting to order on June 13th, 2017 at 6:02 PM. Roll call.
DJ Hoshin here.
Rick Wolf. All right, moving on. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First, we have citizen forum. If anybody would like to make any public comments. Seeing no comments, I guess we'll close citizens forum. We have a couple of public hearings tonight. Does it make any difference which way we do them? No?
It's your choice.
We have a public hearing for the Northwood Board of Selectmen. We'll hold a public hearing at the Northwood Town Hall on June 13th, 2017 at 6 PM for the Selectmen's approval of fees. Maybe I should have done the other one first. Why don't we do the other one first? Would you rather do the other one first? Because Scott will be here, you want to just do the fees?
Scott, it's up to you. I don't personally, I don't have a preference, whatever you two.
Yep. All right, we'll do the fees.
Right.
The fee schedule. There he is.
So last meeting and then the meeting prior to that, we talked a little bit about the fee schedule, what the Board of Selectmen wanted to change in the fee schedule, if anything. And tonight's the opportunity to vote if you want to change anything. And this includes transfer station or town hall fees. In your packet, there was the complete fees. Yep.
So we're going to go through these individually, or are we going to do them?
It's up to you if you want to just decide something that you want to change, or if you're happy with the way it is, you can just vote to keep it how it is. I'd like to remind the board that Dale Sylvia did recommend to the board to create a rate for solar power. Yeah, and that was also in the packet.
Doing the fee schedule.
I apologize, I'm a few minutes late. Did you read that public notice into the record?
You did.
I did for the fees. I have some comment on the fees for recycling. I'm not in favor of really keeping an increase in fees. There's more and more stuff that people are discarding because our fees are going up, and I think we're going to have a problem. I've had a lot of complaints from people saying they pay enough now, they don't want to pay anymore. And I'd like to hear what other people's feelings are.
Well, actually, isn't this a public hearing to get feedback from the public?
Yeah? Anybody got anything, want to make it?
Any public comment?
Public comment on the fee schedule? Just seeing none, there's none.
Okay.
So what I would need from the board is a vote to approve the current fee schedule, and then if you would like to adopt the solar fees.
I just have a few other questions. I was just kind of reading through it quickly.
Yes.
The animal control one, I just noticed, and this is just a question, we charge for all the other, like the unlicensed dogs, a vicious offense. I see we don't charge for like assistance with domestic wildlife or farm animals. So if we're going out there to help them, like, so if their cow gets loose, and our animal control officer goes out there and helps them row it up, we're not charging them for that, but we're charging for others. The nuisance offense, I'm assuming that must be like a dog fight or a cat fight or whatever.
Yeah, that's my understanding. We do have the chief here if you'd like to ask the chief of police.
I just know, I've seen it a few times where we've had to row up some horses or anything. Is that something that you feel that we should charge some people for? Or is it becoming more and more of a?
We, most of the time, first 2 or 3 times that we go out, there's no fee. For livestock and stuff like that, it's actually charged criminally,
Okay,
so we take them to court.
all right, so that's why it says no there. Okay, that was my question. All right, thank you. That's my only question. I was just wondering why we didn't charge for that, but he answered it. Rick, as far as the transfer station one, I agree with you as far as not raising them. I believe the recycling committee came up with a few lower ones and some different brackets that we could maybe visit when we have more time, because we can always revisit that subject. I know they had like a little packet for us. I don't believe we have it, but we could kind of, because there was some other ways. I believe they had come up with a way to make the TVs less expensive for certain ones. So it's just a matter of, there's some things that we could lower our prices on, which would benefit what you're talking about.
Problem I have with one of them is with tires. Why do we need to make $2 handling a tire?
That was one of the ones that they had decided to change. I think they created, correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, they created new categories, which means they based it on what we were charging, what we were getting charged. I believe we were getting charged $2 or $1.50, something like that. And they went to, well, yeah, I just go by with the sheet that they gave us. It was $2. And they were going to leave it at $3, but I believe it was cut off now at 13 to 17. It was just going to go right up to 20 because that's what we're getting charged for. So it would actually make it less confusing, because basically every tire that comes in there, besides the ones that are, oddballs, would be basically $3, which would be very rare we'd get a tire that'd be more than $3. So we'd be making basically $1.50. Right? Is that right? Kim?
We get charged $1.50 per tire, per small tire. or
And
passenger
that's
tire.
not including the tipping fee, correct?
No, there's no tipping fee on that.
They don't charge
Bob's
us
Tire
tipping
comes
fee.
out and grabs it, he charges us per tire.
Okay. Now, even with rims or without rims?
I don't know what that is.
So like I said, this is things that we can always revisit the fee schedule on the transfer station, because there's a lot of different ones that can be changed or reworded that we might not be able to go through them all tonight. But as far as the rest, I'm okay with the rest, unless we're losing money on some of them that we don't know about.
So I'm looking at, if I may, Mr. Chairman, I'm looking at these transfer station fees, and I don't really see anything unreasonable here. So you had, which one did you have concerns about? Just,
Tires, and then the other one was on the couches. We charge less for a regular couch when we do a couch that has a sleeper bed in it.
Yeah,
And a sleeper bed couch has to be taken apart by the guys that work there, and the regular couch goes right straight in the dumpster.
oh, actually, we charge more for a sleeper than a regular. We charge 10 for a sleeper and 5 for a regular.
We're only
Oh,
charging,
yeah.
that's changed because the bigger couches before were more money.
I think the tire one, I think the way they have it set up now, the way they presented it is actually less confusing, because you have basically all our tires would be under one category.
Last year.
That's fine. whatever you guys wanna
So
do.
basically, yeah, I mean, it would be basically, every tire that come in there would be $3. If we went much lower than that, we could technically go lower than that and still make money, but
Before it changes, we'll adjust.
Why do we have to make money off the
we
taxpayers?
don't technically,
Taxpayers pay enough
we
money,
don't
we gotta
technically
make
have
more
to.
money off them.
We don't have to. And
So what do you want to charge for tires, $2?
It's not a real hard spot. I mean, but you guys do whatever you wanna do. I spoke my piece.
I agree with you, Rick. I think I'd like to revisit the transfer station topic when we can have their breakdown of some of the things, so that way we can take input. Not that we're gonna change them, but I know the recycling committee had some sort of input that we're not seeing here that they would like to switch, if that's okay with you guys. If not, if you're okay with the way they are, I'm okay with the way they are. But there were some things that they had decided, like with the TVs, that would make it easier for our attendants to charge. And it made it, some of them were cheaper and some of them were more expensive, so it averaged out. So it's just one of those things of what you want to look at and how you want to do it. And then, I think that was basically the ones that I liked. I liked that you did change the TVs a little bit, and you had them in a different category. Am I correct? Like different size, you had it, I don't know how you,
I was here 6 weeks ago with the presentation,
yeah, I know.
okay? And the mistake, the only mistake we made that night was the sleeper sofa. And we explained that to Selectmen Hodgson at our next meeting.
Yeah, and I completely understood it.
So we gave you our recommendations 6 weeks ago.
Okay, if, I'm fine the way they are, if you're, like Scott said, I don't see anything unreasonable.
I don't see anything really.
Make a motion then, get over
All right.
it.
I'll make a motion, I'll make a motion to, approve the, fee structures that have been, put forward tonight. Even though this thing says these were effective, these are over from last year, but, they'd be effective when we approve them tonight.
Yes.
So I just have a couple of comments, probably should change the date on this.
I will, yes. This particular document was for discussion.
Okay.
I'll second that
For the
motion.
Solar.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna,
Would-
to
I'll-
include solar.
Yeah, to it, okay, go ahead. Did you already add that in, Scott?
To include the solar
Yeah,
fee.
I'll make a motion to approve these, fees as presented tonight, including the solar fees.
I'll second the motion for any further discussion.
Any more discussion?
I'm all set.
Seeing none,
Aye.
all in favor?
Aye.
We can always revisit any issues.
Thank you, gentlemen.
So I guess we're finished with all that, we can go on to the next one. The next public hearing is
The school donation?
the Northwood Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing at the Northwood Town Hall on Tuesday, June 13th at 6 PM to accept the center school itself. Is there any public comment?
I think you have a letter there, somewhere from John Klein.
I didn't get a copy of that.
I might.
I didn't get a copy of that.
Here, I believe.
Let me read this into the record. Yep. I have a letter dated May 5th, 2017, to the Board of Selectmen in Northwood. It says, we would like to donate the American Legion building next to the town hall back to the town of Northwood. Therefore, we're already hereby relinquishing all responsibilities and liabilities for this building. Let us know if there's anything else you need from us regarding the release of this building. If you have any questions, please contact John Slang. Any comment? Any public comment?
I just got a quick one. I think it's great that they're giving us back that building, but Just a budget question. Do we have budget to like heat that and stuff like that, electricity, and just a simple budget question, not that I think it's great, just a quick question.
Not budgeted for this year. This was unanticipated. It would have to be budgeted for next year.
But do you think it's something that we could, obviously, it's not that many months that we could take on into the budget? Because we're going to have to heat it. We can't leave it unheated and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think we can absorb it. I think it'll be minimal at this point since it's not in use.
I'll give you a little background of why it is in good condition now. The preschool took it over in the late 70s. Sorry, I'll bring it down even better, boy. Sorry to interrupt, but plug it right in there. There you go. In the middle 70s, the building the roof needed repaired and there was no heat in it, no central heat or water or sewage or anything. And the center school came to us and asked us if they could take over the building, and we have an agreement with them that they would repair it. And they would spend $5,000 on it every year to keep it in repair, at least that.
Okay.
And
That's why it wasn't in the budget as of now?
and that's what?
That's why it's not in the budget today, is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Okay.
the town never had anything to do with it.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I was just wondering, because I know once we take it over, then they're probably not going to give that money to us anymore to keep it up as
No, and we never asked, we never had another agreement with them after 5 years.
Yeah.
That was 20 years ago.
And they just kept doing it
But
anyways.
they kept it in repair, and they contacted us whenever they did anything and make sure we agreed with it. And we just had a gentleman's agreement, and I hooked the water into them to the pit out there, and I put in a septic tank and ran into our leach field in the town building. Because, I mean, it's very minimal, of course, water they use or anything, and they insulated it, and right now the building is in nice shape.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's a
Yeah,
great
it
thing.
is. And I think one of your officers would like to move out there.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing, that's what they would like to have
It'd
happen.
be a good place for them, and
Yeah,
anyway, and it's about the size they need. And the thing is, all you gotta do is put some oil in, and it's
Yeah.
too bad. I hate to see it fall apart again.
I don't think the town has any desire to let that happen. I was just
Yeah, I
wondering.
mean, it was a school here anyway, because originally it was a town's, because it was original schoolhouse. So it is a historical building,
Oh, yeah.
no post and beam, 2 doors on it where they went in and out. We
What
were
year
just
was
lucky
that,
to
what
find
year was that
somebody-
built?
What's that?
What year was that built?
Well, the charter goes to the First World War in 1919, correct? To 1919, and I guess it wasn't being used as a school, and so they took it over in 1919. And of course, there's no more First World War guys around now, and so that's why it fell in disrepair till a few of us got together and decided we'd do something about it and got it back in shape, because the main building was still good, and the roof was all it needed shingling, but now, I guess preschool is kind of mixed right in with kindergarten, and that's gone by too.
Thank you.
So what, do we just need a motion to accept the center school?
I'll make a motion.
Oh, go ahead. If you got
I
more
had-
comment,
I
I
had a
was just
couple
saying.
questions. Did they give us, just out of curiosity, did they give us what the heating costs were on that? Do we have any of those numbers?
Oh, we don't have any of those numbers.
So, I'm just asking the question.
Same, along the same idea I was asking.
we don't have any idea how much it's gonna cost to maintain?
No,
Like,
it's,
is it like gonna be like
They put all the
$1,000 a
windows-
year,
There's
2,000?
all the windows in it too, they did. So it's very minimal, and
Yeah.
because of water, you've been finishing the water anyway.
Plus, I agree with you, Scott, it was just,
Well, I
I
mean, what's
asked,
the heating
I asked the same question too, that's the questions I was asking. But we gotta also think, if we're not, say we don't move somebody in there this year, you don't have to have the heat cranked to 70, you can keep it at 60, 50, just enough to, so the water don't freeze. So we gotta take, I mean, it's all in what our plans are in the future, and I agree 100%, we can budget it in next year for whatever we're gonna use it, that was my question, too.
it would be minimal,
I think it'd be minimal either way.
just to keep the heat down and keep it from freezing. Yep.
I'll make a motion to accept the building.
I'll second the motion for any further discussion. We never, go ahead. I don't know if there was any more public comment before we
Yes,
cut anybody off.
The benches that were originally in there, do we have any left in here? Those long benches?
Yeah,
One out in the hallway.
there's one out in the hallway.
Yeah, they're up in the top of the garage, and all our podiums and everything are up there too.
Yeah.
Nobody wants those. So but the benches, I think, are all in good shape, and I think you've already used some of them.
Yep.
All in favor?
I'll shut up.
No, you're okay. I think I'm aye.
Aye.
Now that we've done, does that includes the brown shed, the white shed over here and the building, or is the brown shed already ours anyways?
Oh, the
Brown
shoe
shed's
shop, no, the
already
shoe shop is ours.
The brown shed?
Yeah.
Okay, that was already ours to begin with? Okay. I wasn't sure, so it's this building and then that shed over here in the corner?
The garage is ours.
Yeah, the garage is ours too, was already ours too? Okay. I
Thank
wasn't
you.
sure.
So we all voted on, yeah.
Yeah, we all voted yes.
Moving on to appointments, Glenda Roulette.
Thank you for your knowledge. It's always good to hear that. I know. You knew that. I know. Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Good evening, thank you for seeing me. I got couple items for you. Through the Office of Highway Safety, I was able to obtain a grant in the amount of $3,257.50 to outfit the cruisers with what is called e-ticketing equipment. This would replace handwritten summonses. Eventually, the state is going to go all paperless, so I was able to get this grant to 100% match. All we got to do is a soft match, so that would pretty much just include the installation, installing the equipment.
I think it's
Any questions?
great because, I mean, everything's going paperless now.
Are how many cruisers are you gonna get? Is that just one cruiser or all the cruisers?
All the 5 frontline cars are going to get that.
So, soft match usually is, it usually means that it's, donated time, like, are you guys?
Any of our costs.
Any of your costs, yeah.
So
So
basically, they're
who's-
not paying for installation, so the installation is what I used as a soft match.
Okay. What's the estimated cost of the installation?
I think it was less than $500, I believe.
Altogether?
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's per car.
Oh,
No,
altogether.
for everything, for all of them to get done. It's pretty quick
Yeah.
Could I see
quick
the
installation.
grant document? So I'll make a motion to approve acceptance of the Northwood e-ticket equipment grant from the New Hampshire Department of Safety, Office of Highway Safety.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I don't have any.
Me neither. I think,
Seeing no discussion, we'll come to vote.
I
Aye.
Favor? Aye.
think it's great. We gotta move forward at some point.
Yeah, so this is around 18 pages of signatures.
Oh,
So instead of doing it this evening, if possibly, if you're gonna,
After-
if you come by the PD, maybe tomorrow, and I'll point out all the signatures and everything else.
do we have to make a motion to allow him to sign that, Scott?
It only requires the chairman's exit signature, but I'll make a motion to allow Rick to sign that on behalf of the board as chairman.
I'll second it.
Discussion.
Aye.
Aye.
Just making sure we do it the right way, that's all.
The second item is another grant that we were awarded in the amount of $1,080 from the Hampshire Fish and Game Department. This was a grant that I decided to apply for this year. It will give us some extra patrols focusing on the Gulf Road area. We have numerous complaints out in that area. It's a tough area for our patrols to get out to on a constant basis because of the distance. So I talked to Fish and Game. They said Conservation Officer Mattson has been wonderful working with us, working with the residents out there to try to get this resolved and work with them. So I figured if this grant was available to apply for it, that would give additional officer patrols out there throughout this summer, and hopefully we can make an impact in that area as well as the trails between the Gulf and the state park. So we'll be utilizing a cruiser and marked, uniformed officers, seeing as we don't have any other equipment to do those patrols on. So that's for $1,080.
I'll make a motion to accept the grant from Fish and Game. Is there a name to the grant?
I think that's great. 'cause I know people-
OHRV Law Enforcement Grant.
Accept the Fish and Game grant for OHIV off-highway road vehicle grant from the Fish and Game Department. Make that motion.
I'll second for discussion. I just like to say that's great, because I know some people over there, and it really is kind of a cluster over there of all different things that shouldn't be going on. There's nameless.
There's a long history in that area, and it's, every instance is a different deed or
Whether
something
it's,
that we've got to check to see, okay, is this person riding on this road, allowed on this road, but not this, it's,
yeah, oh yeah,
It's a very
because there's a
odd,
lot of different roads out there between Class 6 and, all
Private.
the- oh yeah, it is quite, I think it's a great thing.
we were dealing with a deed from, I think it was 1887 at one point. I mean, it was crazy, so.
I do have one question. You mentioned the state park. Who pertains to the dogs in the state park and the leash law? Is there a leash law or?
Yes.
Because I go in there and there's dogs running loose, they run after people, they chase horses, and it seems to be out of control, so I'd like to know.
Yeah, it's a town-wide leash law, so
But who is it up to enforce it?
it would be us.
It's hard though, because they'd have to walk the trails, really. You'd have,
Yeah, I mean, we can get on the main trails, but when you have a duty officer on foot and you get a car accident on Route 4, it's hard for us
I
to
know
get.
it's posted, but people
that more
don't
one
read
of those-
signs.
Is that more one of those things that you guys really enforce if you have a bite or something like
For
that?
sure, yeah, we'll get caught. I mean,
Yeah,
people will
right.
call us that, if they can give us the description of the dog, then we can go in there, and the animal control officer will go in there and try to make contact. We do handle those complaints. It's something I can maybe stick the ACO down there, maybe on a Saturday or something, just for educational purposes and, presence, and maybe see if that will make a difference.
Thank you. I'm okay for a vote.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah, sure.
Ask away.
So anyways, I was at a meeting the other night, and I got this question, and I didn't know the answer, so I thought I'd ask you. Some citizens in town was asking we used to have a police log, and they were asking me, is there any possibility of having a police log again?
Yeah, so we're actually going to be going through an upgrade pretty soon with our reporting system. that will actually print me out a police log rather than me sitting there reading every log and then retyping into a format that I can put onto a website or whatever. Once we make that transformation, I can hit 2 buttons and it will be posted online. So once that goes through, the police log will be a lot on there. It is a little bit of labor intensive because of the stuff we have to redact.
No, I was,
So,
I'm just.
I know,
somebody said
people do like it, but I mean, it also has to kind of balance with the amount of work that it,
And then I had one more question, Mr. Chairman. So,
Ask away.
at the same meeting I was at last night, there was, I didn't realize that, has there been an increase in, they were asking me, has there been an increase in vandalism to some town property and some residential?
I would say that an increase we had one incident that was pretty much town long.
Okay.
Over the weekend. We took several reports over Monday and Tuesday. It is an open investigation, and there are a couple of suspects at this time. So we are reviewing some video that we did obtain through some of the businesses and other sources, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Guess we're all set.
Was there a,
No, they're going to have to vote.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was
Oh, I'm
gonna
sorry.
move-
So that's okay.
I'm all done.
I just asked if
Oh,
there was
no, I
any
should
other
have waited
questions.
until we voted.
and I was gonna move the
apologize.
vote. No, that's
fine.
all
Aye.
in favor, say aye.
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 And the last topic I'd like to discuss is, it was brought to my attention that back in 2015, ordinance was adopted regarding flagger and detail use. Joe had called me up. We had shut down a tree crew because they didn't have any flaggers or details at the time. Joe and I discussed it, and just kind of reviewing the ordinance. I would ask that it be either reviewed or removed, or kind of get some input from me on it. I was unaware of it. I was under the impression that it was, when it was brought to my attention, that it was town jobs, which I get. You don't want to have uniformed police officers out there on a town job, and that increases taxes because the company's just going to bill you for what they pay us. So I know Charlie and Pete with the road crew have gone to flagger training, and, you know, I get that. But now this is kind of being moved on to companies that are working, like Asplin, Lewis Tree, Eversource, stuff like that. Some of the problems, I just see that it has no discretion whatsoever for the chief of police to say anything. It's a public safety issue, and no disrespect, but I think I'm a pretty good indicator on public safety and have discussions on that. You know, it says 15,000 cars per day or greater. This was obviously pretty much cut and pasted out of a state document, I'm guessing, because Route 4 doesn't even have a daily average count of 15,000. The last one I checked was in 2015, and the highest was 12,000. I guess I don't understand why it would be a town issue. A lot of towns, and I'm aware of, leave that decision up to the chief of police. He'll decide. I don't require it on every road, but I think the request needs to come to the police department that we're working on such a road, and I say yea or nay. It looks like you have a question, so I'll stop.
I tend to lean to agree with you to an extent, because like you said, road by road is different. Like, for instance, I know we're gonna be cutting some trees on Sherburne Hill, and when school lets out, now that they've put this new road over here, that road is very heavily trafficked. And I could understand your point per se if that was one of the roads that you'd say, no, I want a police, but, you know, if you're cutting on Long Pond where you might get 4 cars a day, I could you know, that's where I get it. I do.
And even with the town projects, if you give me enough lead time, I'll even schedule you an officer on my budget to be out there. Because I mean, I hate to say it, but a lot of people don't slow down for flaggers. Because what's the guy gonna do, drop his sign and run after you?
Didn't you say that the one that you called, they didn't have flaggers? Is that what you said? They didn't
So
actually
the
have?
first time we went through, the officer called me up and said, hey, Aspen's working up here, they've got no detail, no flagger.
Yeah.
I said, okay, shut them down.
Yeah.
They apparently came up here, had a conversation with Joe, but even their flagger was nothing more than a guy running the chipper that would go out there.
But if you happen to
Saw a
see a
car
car,
coming.
yeah.
That's not paying attention to, I mean, if you're gonna have a flagger out there, then he needs to be a designated flagger that knows what they're doing. You know, people are gonna say, you know, you're just money hungry and this and that. Well, it's a public safety issue. People slow down when they see blue lights, blue light fever.
Sometimes.
It's absolutely, no, it's pretty much true.
But if they don't,
It's,
and we've had instances in here where we've gotten DWIs, we've got other things because they've gone speeding through a work zone, the officer's got in his car, made the traffic stop. Presence is a huge thing. Sometimes the companies will bring flaggers and say, but we want an officer out here for enforcement and presence to slow people down. And I just feel having this policy, it undercuts that. Bow Lake Road is an extremely busy road.
especially when school lets out. It's-
School,
Now that
during
they
the
put
week,
that new
during the
road
weekends
in.
with the boat traffic, Co-Brown uses as training areas.
Anybody working on weekends cutting trees or anything.
Well, we do.
I
mean,
could
tree
see-
companies do it a lot. Tree companies do a lot of Saturday work when they've got all their crews in town. It was just, I think it was last fall that we had at least a couple of months of Saturday work. So I feel it undercuts, I hate to use the word, but my authority, that it's a public safety issue, it's a safety issue, and it is a kind of a financial issue because we finally have the detail fund straightened out. That money from these details goes into there to offset prices of cruisers. So if we start handing this ordinance out to all these companies, they're using flaggers, we're gonna have to rely back on taxation for cruiser purchases again.
Yeah, but this isn't the only town that does it. Other towns do it. Nottingham does it. They have tree cutters. They never have any police there. The company that cuts the trees.
But I hear this board a lot say, I don't care what other towns do, we're gonna do
I
it
know
our
that. I
way.
know, I realize you don't, but
You know what I'm saying? I feel it's, you know, they may not require it because they don't have the manpower to cover it, or, I mean, we do details in Nottingham. Nottingham calls us. So I know they do require details on a lot of their roads because we work down there.
not usually when they're cutting town trees. I talked to
But like,
Johnny.
I'm not talking to
Says
town
he doesn't
jobs.
require details.
I am not talking about town jobs. I am talking about Eversource, Fairpoint, hiring Aspen to come out and do their work. Because your rates aren't gonna go down because they're using chippers.
Right.
They're not, all they're doing is bidding that job and putting what they bid in their pocket because they skirted around having traffic control. That's all they're doing. And there was a flagger bill at the legislature, and even the chairman of, or the CEO, whoever he was, of one of those companies, even couldn't bring himself to say that your rates will go down if we use flaggers instead of police. It's not gonna happen. They're not gonna give money back to you. It's a safety issue, and that's all it really comes down to, is to have the chief not to have the ability to say, you know, Co-Brown is having a track meet on Saturday, and that's gonna bring in money. I know that ahead of time, but now we have a tree company out there in the middle of the road, and I can't do anything about it. I feel,
I have, and I don't think it can be answered today. One of my concerns is, which I'd have to, if we decide to change it, ask run it by legal, but I don't believe you can have I'm not saying we can't, I just not sure if you can. I don't believe you can have one policy for town jobs and one policy for private, you know what I'm trying to say?
There's no way. Yeah, there,
Because they're gonna say, well, you guys don't have a detail, but you're making us get a detail. So my question, and I'm not saying there's no way, I'm just saying is there a way that a policy could be worded to give some discretion so that, we don't run into a situation where there's a conflict because of the way we're,
and I think the way you deal with that is the way the DOT has done with it. DOT can work on Route 4 without a detail because they own those roads. And that's the same thing for town roads. The town owns the roads. So if you don't feel, and like I said, even for the tree work, if there are certain areas in town, if you give me enough heads up, I can schedule officers out there to make sure there's radio communication, if you're having long paving areas. I don't have a problem with that. But that's how DOT deals with it. They'll decide if they're gonna have a detail or not on their road because they own the roads. And I've had that discussion, and that's how they
I
phrase
mean,
it.
I'm not, yeah, is there a way, I'm just asking, could we?
I can draft some language and run it past the lawyer and bring it back.
You know, we can definitely reconsider this.
I think they're, like, I give you an example, like, for example, we're gonna be cutting those trees on,
Sherburne.
Sherburne Hill, I just,
and obviously, depending on when they do it, there could be arguments that sometimes it's safety, sometimes it's not really a safety issue. But like you said, when I have to increase the tax, appropriation to do that project because of the cost. So I'm just asking, let's see, well, it's the board, but if the board's agreeable, I'd like to see if we could come up with some kind of compromise that would work under various situations.
And like I offered, with town jobs, if you give me the heads up, and especially you have elongated, long projects, maybe a year's heads up so I can budget for it. But if you're gonna have projects, I can put officers out there on overtime or try to schedule it as their shift to try to get around some of that safety issue with even town jobs.
yeah, I mean, I agree, especially the one that concerns me the most that we have coming up would be Sherburne Hill, because that road is trafficked heavily, especially if we do it in the next couple of, well, Cole Brown's almost out, but,
Tomorrow.
yeah, that road's still
But it's
usually
still,
heavily.
but that whole Ridge Road, Sherburne Hill, Bow Lake Road, they're all cut-through roads. So even though the kids aren't coming to Cole Brown, it's still an awful lot of cars coming through there. A lot, almost all day long, going back and forth to Stratford, so.
But that's the only one that we have coming up that would concern me as a citizen, it would be that one, because that, we're cutting, what, 191 trees? That's a lot of trees to be cutting down. That's not a few, that's probably 3-4 weeks, right? We're gonna be there, maybe 2-3, at least, 2, so. All right, so I guess we'll have to get the information reconsidered when he gets
We're all
back. We'll have to wait when he gets back and we can reconsider it.
So is there anything, is there anything tonight because there's been situations prior, I don't see how, there was one today that I could have and should have shut down, but under this ordinance, it precluded me from doing it.
Is there, if I recall,
Are you talking town job or a
No,
private?
This is a private job that,
if I recall, isn't there an RSA?
so RSA 105-9, police attendance at public meetings and functions. So as it is right now, if you have a circus or a large function, I can make you have a detail, but I can't tell at your private house, but I can't make a tree company have a detail on a tree cutting job as it stands right now. That kind of
Yeah, it's odd.
makes it very odd to me.
Well, I will say, because I do travel Ridge Road, and I was one day, and they were doing the tree cutting.
It's a rough road.
I did not, they were doing something with the wires over on Ridge Road that I found very chaotic, trying to drive through there, because they were just doing whatever they wanted.
It's a
There
heavily.
was details there. I never went by when there wasn't a detail there.
There wasn't a detail there.
Any day I went by, there was, when they were doing the power line work there in the last few weeks. I saw Barnstead there, I saw all kinds of cruisers there.
But
There
like
was
you
one
say,
day I went by, oh, well, maybe it was something different, but I went by there for a couple of days, there was no detail there. There was a detail there 1 or 2 days, but they were over there like a good week.
When they're completely off the road, they shouldn't need a detail, which they were part of the time. They weren't even on the tar
But I-
road, they were off in the power line.
I guess my question to you would be, what was the interest in it? You're
I
not paying
just feel
for it.
that it's double dipping people.
Double
We're
dipping
getting
people on
money
what?
out of people that we shouldn't.
Well, this
By
isn't a
requiring-
town,
Money from
this
the
isn't a
company.
town job. This
Yeah,
is-
money from the company, but it goes into the people that are hiring them. That's like Richard Cummins today, if he had.
I should have shut
Hey,
that down, and I explained it to him, and I know you drove by and saw me explaining it to him, that job would have been shut down, until he had a detail officer out there because he
For
took
what
up a
reason?
whole
It's in the
lane.
straightaway. There's no danger
There was a hill
there.
right there.
Hill, you're coming down. You can see perfectly
How about
going
the
up
guy
there.
coming up? It's a two-way street, isn't it?
It's no different if a flagman's out there if you're out there.
No one's out there. That's the difference. And I think I don't know what your sentiment against the police is, but it has nothing to do with that. It's a safety issue. It's making sure that the town is not on the hook for something you passed, not having somebody out there controlling the traffic.
If they got a detail out there, they're perfectly legal as far as I'm
He's saying
concerned.
they didn't have one as well.
They didn't have one.
He's saying, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I could be wrong. You're saying if you happen to get a call and they don't have a detail, you're looking for some sort of authority to make them either have you there or a detail.
Correct.
Not so much that he just wants to be there no matter what. It's if he gets a call and they don't have a detail, he goes
For
out.
example, White Mountain Cable called us for a detail, wanted a detail on Upper Dealfield Road off Route 4. I told them, you're all set. There are roads that I look at and say, you don't need a detail officer down there. For the 4 houses that are on that road, you're all set. But to give me no discretion and no oversight, or anybody oversighting this, is, I think, a step on the authority of your chief. Somebody that you've asked to do this job.
You're entitled to your opinion.
I certainly am.
I think,
am too.
I think if they don't have, I don't know if this can be worded, but I think if you're going by and they don't have any sort of, if they're in the road and they don't have any sort of flagger, I could understand your point of at least being able to do something. Right now, you can't do anything. I could get that point. At least you could come and say, hey, I'm gonna shut you down if you don't put 2 guys out here. Maybe I'm not coming out here, but you need at least 2 guys. You can't even actually do that. You know, you can't say, hey, I'm gonna shut you down unless you
He
put a guy.
can.
Huh? Go ahead.
Is there, do we know of any detail, I shouldn't say, is there any, other than the work being done on Sherburne Hill, do they give you a tip-off if they're gonna be working in town, give the town a heads up before they come in?
No, usually the power company doesn't give us any heads up at all.
Okay.
Private
There-
workers. no.
So what I'm saying is, well, I'm saying is one individual, so something could happen and next week and we wouldn't even know about it and they just still won't work. Okay.
But to call to that point, though, to call town hall and say, hey, by the way, I'm gonna do some work, that's Big Brother. Like, I shouldn't have to know when somebody's out cutting trees on their property.
No, but if they're putting cable up on the town road, we should get a heads up.
If they're doing stuff like that,
Like,
yes.
they,
If they're
all
spraying
right, I'm not
or
saying if
shit.
they're coming into your yard to cut trees, they don't need permission for that, because they're working on private property. But if they're going up trimming trees because the power line on the street and there's tree branches falling down on Ridge Road, which was going on the day that I saw it, I don't think that's Big Brother watching. I disagree with you on that. So what I'm saying is there any way we can write a policy that allows for discretion, but not I don't want to use the word abuse, but taking it, you know, there's some leeway where the chief can have a little say, but it kind of goes in harmony with what we're trying to do.
Sure. I'll draft something up and bring it to you guys if that's what you want. You can review and edit and.
And
Go ahead, you were gonna say something?
you know, it's been this way and it's worked well. They call us, you know, we're working on this road. I think it's,
Start taking too many steps, is that what you're worried about?
yeah, I mean, if Asplin comes over, you don't, you know, it's Eversource's right away that the power lines are on, so they're trimming them. I just say, I guess my point is, it's been working the same way for 20-plus years, that they call the chief, they call the PD and ask for a detail, and we go from there, and if they don't have appropriate setups, we take action to make sure they do. It's never been a huge issue until the last couple of weeks, so.
This was done over a year ago, and it was supposed to be sent to you at the time that it was done. It was supposed to be sent to you. You say you didn't get it? I don't know about that.
But
But it was
again,
done, and it was supposed to be sent to you.
and again, I don't know what the reason for it being done and not sending me an email saying, hey, chief, we're gonna discuss this, can we get your input?
Do you call us and invite us into
Anytime-
your
any-
business?
anytime
No,
you
you
want.
don't, Glenn.
Oh, now, oh,
Let's
so
not
this.
go there. Let's
So
not
now,
go
here we
there.
go, this is what this.
No, let's not go
Let's
there.
see the real true colors.
Yeah, I can see the true colors
You're,
right now.
you're anti-sentiment against
No,
me
I'm not.
personally and the police department.
No.
Yes, it is, because I
No,
hear,
it isn't,
I hear
because I know
residents
how
all
it
the time.
works. I know how it works. I've been
What's
on
that? You were a
both
police
sides.
commissioner for 2 years.
Yeah, and I learn a lot.
Yeah,
Just what it is.
so much that you decided not to finish your term and run for
That's right.
selectman.
That's right.
Okay. So I just see that this is the sentiment this
Call it
policy
whatever
was.
you want to call it.
Okay.
I see your dissension just like mine in this town.
I wasn't here when the policy was written.
Nope.
I'll just gonna put that there. I'm not against looking at the policy and trying to make it work for the both of us, the town and the police department. How we gotta get to that point? Obviously, it sounds like Scott wants to do something with legal, so I don't think we're gonna be able to.
I'm just
accommodate
saying,
your things tonight.
I'm just saying, you have to write a policy that's universal, but has some flexibility to it, because I don't think you can, from a legality standpoint, I don't think you can have two standards depending on who's asking for the work.
But but even with the town work, don't you put Charlie and Pete out there to flag?
Well, I'm not talking about, I'm trying to come up with a compromise that's gonna work for everybody. I'm trying to give some flexibility, because I'm trying to look at this to kind of mend some things here.
Because even on town projects, someone should be out there getting cars by safely. So whether it's us
I
or-
agree with you.
So that's what I'm just saying. I don't think you're writing a policy that we're not going to do anything and everyone else has to. I think that sounded like that kind of was where you were going with it.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, even if it's a town project, if you don't have us out there, you're going to have the road crew flagging. So
Well, I
it'd still
think
be-
there has to be something out there for traffic control,
Right.
because you'd have chaos.
Right.
I am agreeing with you.
No, I know. I'm just. It sounded like you were like, we can't have two different policies. It sounds like you're gonna have one policy.
I meant like, if you have somebody come in and we have a contract with the town, you could have somebody else come in and say, look, you can't, you gotta treat all vendors or all companies the same. You can't give one preferential treatment because they're working on a town job versus a private job. That's all I'm trying to say.
It should be anybody's right to hire a flagman that wants to hire one. That's my opinion.
I don't think he's saying that he wants to take the flagman's job. I think he's saying that if there's not a flagman there, he'd like to have some sort of authority to make sure there is one.
The intent of this when it was done originally was they were supposed to have a flagman there, not the guy that's running the brush chipper. That wasn't our
Right, I
intention to
understand
begin
that.
with.
I understand that.
Our
That-
intention was they had to have a flagman,
Right.
and our intention wasn't not to have one.
And I'll agree to you at a certain point that I should be able to decide which one on the
Right.
roads.
Yeah, I mean,
That if they say we're gonna work with a flagger on Bow Lake Road on a Monday morning, that's not gonna,
Yeah.
they're gonna have the blue lights out there.
Yeah.
So I just
Or if
want
they're-
to clarify that I'm,
No,
also
I
looking
think
for
I
that
pretty
aspect.
much got what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from. You just like to have, if you feel, like you said, Bow Lake Road, it's a Monday morning school bus time, or what, they're cutting all day. You know that Cole Brown's gonna let out, our school buses are gonna be going by, all of that stuff. I could understand why you'd wanna say, hey.
I just wanted to make sure I
No,
clarified.
I think I know exactly what you're trying to say. Go ahead, Joe.
Rick, can I chime in? So it kind of sounds like we're spinning our wheels. I would recommend drafting something new and then revisiting this at the next meeting.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
I don't think we're gonna be able to come to a conclusion for you tonight anyways, as far as what you want, as far as coming up with a new policy.
I think that, I think we can revisit the policy, but I don't think 2 weeks is gonna be a crisis.
We have a lot of tree work coming.
For a second. I just trying to clear something up that I was confused about. I heard Senator Wolf say, well, can you explain, you said double dipping? Because I'm quite confused. I think you might be confused what double dipping means. But if you want to explain to me, maybe I'm wrong.
The problem is, these guys can hire flagmen for $30 an hour instead of hiring you guys for $65. By you guys being able to force them to hire you, that gives them no opportunity to come in this town and do work, because you guys shut the door to any outside private agency to come into this town. And it's been going on for a long time.
So,
Can I keep going there? Because I think we'll...
And you guys work for $65 an hour.
No,
You can get a flagman for
settle down.
less.
We don't work 65. You know what the rates are and what the officer makes and what the town makes. So by your explanation just now, you'd rather see the town money go out of town than in town.
And another...
It all goes back to me. If I'm a taxpayer and I buy electricity,
And
by
your rates
paying you
aren't gonna
guys
go
more
down.
money, it passed on to
Rates
me
aren't
and my
gonna go
bill.
down.
It works that
And
way.
your rates aren't gonna go down.
Actually, rates are set by the PUC.
So right now, like if this was bidding time, right, you say Lewis Tree and Aspen were bidding, they're gonna bid to like say $10 million. It's a lot more than that for their contract. They are including, right, the detail rate already in there. All right, so it's not gonna, your rates are not gonna go down at all. It's already been budgeted. And they do it every single year, so it's, that money's already in there. So like when the chief was saying before, right, if you charge $30 for a flagger and it's $67 for the town, right, there's $37 difference. Only people that get that money, right, is Asplin. They're actually getting richer. No one else is. The taxpayers' rates are not going down.
If public service or these power companies are foolish enough to go with a contract like that, I'm surprised.
Mr.
I
Chairman.
said all I'm gonna say. I think we need to
Just
move
a
on.
sign. I suggest we move on.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.
Good night.
Thank you for your time.
Next up, Ms. Jen Dorr from Vashon Cloquet.
Hi there.
How
Here
are
to
you?
present the audit
Broke
for
today.
December 31st, 2016. At this point, we're in a draft. The final letter is here for approval tonight. When we get that back, I'm assuming tomorrow, the final statements will be issued. I can just give the quick, the quick lowdown. We were here in March. We do what we assess risk based on various areas in town. We're required to test controls over certain major, what we call major transaction areas, payroll, cash disbursements, those types of things. What we do is determine what is the process, how is it established, what is supposed to happen, and then we do tests to determine is that what is in fact happening. So that's sort of what we base our main risk on. We obviously audit balances and do all those things. So as far as the audit goes, you've received an unmodified opinion on your general fund, aggregate remaining funds. There's an adverse opinion on the governmental activities, and that is this GASB 45, which I know you're out to bid for services to look at doing that and putting that on. It's one of those unfunded liabilities that there's not really anything you can do about it. It's just a required disclosure. So unfortunately, by not having it on there, that results in an adverse opinion. It doesn't affect anything in the day-to-day financial statements.
Just effect if you go for a bond, maybe.
Right, and in these days, most bond banks, they're aware, or they'll call me. I've gotten calls going, can you explain this? What is this exactly, especially back in the beginning when they first issued this. Now I don't think that it's as much of a factor. People are understanding.
Yeah, we did put money in the budget this year to hire an actuarial
Yep.
firm to come out and do that.
And they've become a lot more reasonable than when that was first being thrown out there. I mean, there was places that were paying, exorbitant amounts of money to have that done. Now they've kind of got it mainstreamed, and it's not as bad.
So they put that down, like, because you're giving us an adverse opinion, that must be a material weakness even though.
It's not. It's literally just that there's something that's supposed to be in the audit that's not in there.
Yeah.
So it's like it's missing information. It's really not any sort of a material weakness in internal controls or anything like that. It's just something that was required to be in there that's not in there. A lot of my December towns have opted not to do it. just because of, they hate to have another cost, especially for something along those lines. I mean, you've got, last year was GASB 68, which is a whole nother unfunded liability. That one isn't, that came from New Hampshire Retirement System, so there wasn't any need to hire an actuary. That kind of trickles down. They give us all the numbers, all the reporting. So that's on the books, and that's in there. And there will be another one in 2018, 2019 that's going to grab another piece. It's basically going to grab your medical
What's the one
subsidy.
in 2019?
It's the medical subsidy piece of the retirement system, is basically what that's going to be. It's going to be more of like an
That would get
OPEB type.
passed, would that get passed on to the retirement system or the towns?
That's another sort of, it comes through the retirement system, and they're going to do what they've done. Like with this one, the information will get disseminated to all its members. So it'll just be another number on there that, again, there's nothing you can do to fund it.
But if we
Like-
do, for example, if we have pay for the actuarial services to come up with that calculation of what our liability is, unfunded liability is, that should result in us being able to get an unqualified opinion.
Correct. You'd be an unmodified opinion.
So
Yep.
then, when this, and these mandates are coming down from the Governmental Conduct Standards Board.
Keeps them in business.
Yeah. So
It's enough to push an auditor over the edge.
This is not being pushed down by the state or
No,
anything.
no, it's,
So what I was gonna say though is that gonna result in us having to hire some kind of?
I don't believe so. I think this is gonna be like GASB 68, where it's all being done at New Hampshire Retirement, where they've hired the actuaries, they issue the reports, and it's literally us just taking the information. We have to do some testing of like the census data that they're using to put into it, but it's not, I don't believe it's gonna require an additional actuary at this time.
And, yeah, I took a look at Sandy put the MDNA together.
Yep.
And I took a look at it last night, and
Yeah, she sent it to me this morning.
I just had one comment that I gotta resolve with her. And
Yeah, she was asking about the verbiage. I mean, it's entirely up to you. The discussion analysis is your document, so if you want something in there, that can certainly go in. You know, it's not necessarily a financial impact, per se, I mean,
No, I think.
but it's certainly,
Probably not gonna change anything, but.
right,
just wanted to
yeah,
have-
no, it's certainly something that can go in there as a blurb. I just did want to touch, we had a couple of things that we found were areas, more recommendations and some areas of improvement. One of the tests that we did this year was the payroll test. We had a few things, we call them deficiencies or deviations, having to do with like time cards. They're supposed to be reviewed at the department head level. That's sort of their job, is the employees turn them in, and they're supposed to be adding them up, making sure they add up, making sure the hours that they put on make sense and that they come through. We had a couple of instances where that wasn't the case. They weren't adding through. So because it was a test of our controls, we do have that on this internal control letter.
Would you put that down as a finding, or it's,
We called it a significant deficiency. It's not a material weakness, but
What's
it was a
significant
significant deficiency.
deficiency?
Just because it was a test of controls and the control wasn't there, that,
Did you
you know, that
find-
these should be.
like, I looked at that, but I didn't
Yep.
look at the, was there any areas you found where there was overpayment or underpayment?
I'd have to look at the specifics of which way it went. I think it was minimal, if it was. I don't know which way it went, if the hours were more or less, and I can certainly get that information for you and let you know. And then one thing we had, that was in the internal control letter. We did have one other, again, related to the payroll. This, I didn't consider this to be a significant deficiency. It was more of approved pay rates. In every personnel file, and it's actually, I believe it's a Department of Labor requirement as well, there should be an
A
approved
personnel
rate.
action form that says,
Here's what you're supposed to be getting paid, if somebody in management signs it, the employee signs it. We pull a sample of 25, a couple, I believe, I don't even know if it was one or two, there was just a small amount, but they didn't have an approved rate. It was an employee that they're sort of done at a certain grade, at a step, so we knew the step was approved, there was nothing in their file verifying that it's just, and we've had a lot of that, I don't know why, but we've had a lot of that across the state this year.
would putting a copy of the minutes from the selectmen's meeting suffice for that?
It would,
Personnel
it
file.
would, I mean, we like to see just a standard form, just have a standard form, and then the employee signing off. Then if anything changes during the year, we've got some people that go, well, here's our budget, and here was the approved rates for the whole year. Well, things change, somebody changes a position, they take on a different job, do something different. It's good to have the,
Do electronic files count for that? Because I know finance keeps a running tab in her notes in the electronic system. This moved to this moved to that.
it doesn't have an employee signature anywhere, though. There really should
Don't need the
be, I mean,
Okay.
What's to say, you know,
Nothing
I
ha-
play the
not-
devil's advocate, what's
Nothing
to
has
say?
signatures anymore.
I know,
Like, when you
nothing's
file your
signed
tax, is your signature on your tax return?
Your birthday and saying it, that's me.
You know,
Yeah.
you just have a PIN number.
Right, exactly.
We'll give 'em all
You
PIN
know,
numbers.
we look at it from the devil's advocate point of, you know, what's to say, somebody in finance didn't want to go in and change their rate and put a note in saying approved.
Yeah,
You know,
fair
they're
enough.
really just, it's good to have the employees sign it and someone in management, whether it's board or even just town administrator signing off, that that's the approved rate. So that was just an area that we found for recommendations. We try to recommend things, you know, the areas that we see when we're doing the audit. So other than that, we have no issues. We always enjoy working with your staff, and they're more than helpful.
Well,
every
thank
time
you
they
for
come out.
coming in.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ready to move on?
Next up, Shelley Frost.
Shelley Frost is next.
Hello. Hey. You moved too quickly. Yeah, there you are.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you this evening. I wanted to show up for two reasons. One, I'll be representing the Conservation Commission under unfinished business for the purchase and sales agreement. But also, I wanted to follow up with comments given by the Conservation Commission that I couldn't attend at your last meeting, I do believe, regarding rejecting the appointment of Stephen Roy to the Conservation Commission. The stated reason, as I heard, and you can correct me about any of these things that I'm about to say, was that you were displeased with the fact that he wrote a letter that was against the Myrie Waldron Beach development. So my points are that we voted on that and agreed to that. So if you wanted to reject appointments, you could reject all who were up for appointment on that letter or not. I'm curious about the communications that happened before that point. When we first saw that, we were surprised that the...
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
If you were that concerned about Mary Waldron Beach, why didn't you just ask to come to a selectmen's meeting to explain your concerns to the board?
We were following basically the type of communication that we were given. You gave us a plan to review, we reviewed it, and we rewrote our comments about it. I've been on the Conservation Commission about a year, and that didn't seem out of line for the means of communication.
We asked you to comment on it? Not that I know. of.
No,
It came
my
before us.
understanding is that a letter was sent to environmental services before somebody came in and talked to the board about an issue.
It was.
Yeah, that's where I took exception.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to people coming in and disagreeing or asking why you're doing this, and could you explain to us? My understanding is that when we paved that area, we looked at the statutes and the regulations pertaining to wetlands and anytime Shoreline Protection Act, and we're in compliance with all those. And it was troublesome to me that instead of Board of Selectmen or come in, I would rather see a communication tried to be attempted to negotiate something or discuss the issue with the selectmen before going to an outside party. We weren't even afforded the opportunity to have that discussion with you before that letter went up to DES.
I don't think that we were aware that so I'm a little fuzzy on this, but had we even been told about the permits that you had gotten before it was paved? I think that it was paved. This is my recollection.
It was paved, but before it was paved, we looked into the statutes and the ordinances to that area.
Did you ask us about it, whether that was sufficient at the time? I mean, I think it was paved before we saw the bigger plan. Am I incorrect in that assumption?
I don't know the exact dates of the paving,
There was no plan.
but I do know that the laws were reviewed, the wetlands things and so forth. And I'm just saying, I support citizens coming in volunteering for the town, but I do know that I would like to think that this board follows the law. I know at the most part, I've always tried to follow the law. If I made a mistake, it was by mistake. So I would rather have somebody come in and say, Board of Selectmen, we think you made a mistake by paving this. Can we talk about how you remediate this? Instead, I find out that a letter is sent up to a regulatory agency, which is, anybody's entitled to do that if they got a complaint. I would just like the respect to have the opportunity to respond for it before it hit that level.
I think there are a couple of things that play in this. One is the fact that Steve works at the DES, and so perhaps it's a more casual type of communication that, I mean, obviously a letter is not the same.
You said that it was a casual, it wasn't a written letter?
No. You have to let me finish, because
Sorry.
I was saying it was a written letter, but perhaps the fact that a communication with the DES is, I work at the DES, Grace works at the DES, Steve works at the DES. We might view that somewhat differently than you do. And then, if I'd like to step back for a minute about the communications, if you ever have any questions about whether you're doing something right, you can feel free to approach us to confirm that. That wasn't done, and I don't think we were doing a letter maliciously. I think it was an oversight, honestly. And I do apologize for not
That
having
was
the level of communication that you would like.
I'm just
Sorry.
letting you know, that was concerning to me.
Okay. That's a learning experience for me. Thank you. Now that he's not there on the board anymore and he is a huge source of institutional knowledge, we can reach out to him, but having been rejected, he hasn't shown up. I can imagine that he doesn't particularly want to show up at this point. I felt lucky to have him for a year to help transition us into a better shepherding of the committee. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the feedback.
On that,
Didn't we ask him to come in?
we did. I sent an email to Mr. Roy, and I also spoke with the Conservation Commission last week. I'd never heard back from Steve.
Okay.
On the same topic, Mr. Hadley, he sent a letter to the board requesting that, well, I'll read the bolded area.
I'm not opposed to reconsidering appointing him. I've already read the letter in my packet.
Okay.
I'm not, I mean, if the board wants to, can reconsider it, I just wanted to get a message across that in the future, can we have these discussions before they get escalated outside of the town? And it's not even like, and then if we have the meeting, I know where I work, if we have a disagreement in our policy, then after you discuss your disagreement, if it's still not resolved, then you take it to the next level. I feel that
Skipped a step.
you skipped a step. I'm not saying everybody has the right to report something they feel is a misdeed or something wrong, but I don't even think we were, that's the only point I wanted to get across. I am okay with appointing Mr. Roy, I just want to make sure that they understand what our concerns are. And I did see the letter from Mr. Hadley. So if he's interested, if he is interested in serving, I'd reconsider the appointment. That's all I'm saying. I just want to make sure that people understand why this occurred.
So I guess that's the next step, is to see, there's no point in us making a motion to reinstate him if he's not interested. If he's already at the point where he's ticked off and I don't want to do it, there's no point in us trying to do it.
I can reach out one more time and see if he wants to come to the next meeting. And then
We don't really so much
He
need
doesn't
him
have
to come to a
the next
meeting, we just need to
just
know whether or not
resubmit
he's
his
really
thing.
still,
He'd like to volunteer for the committee.
if he's still considering it, even though we've already, you know what I mean? He might just say, you know what, I don't want to do it now because they've already said no.
I'm ready to move on.
All right, for my sake, can you guys do me a favor and vote either one way or another to see if you want me to reach out to Steve Roy? I need some direction on this because I think there's some dissension.
I'm
And I
okay with you,
understand why.
I'm okay with you reaching out to him to see if he wants to do it. Like Scott says,
If I get a letter or a thing that he would like to be on the thing, does this make it easy for you? If I get a letter or she says, I would like to serve on the board again, I'm gonna vote yes, okay? Is that good enough for you?
I'll reach out to him.
I can't speak for the other two.
I just don't,
What?
Oath of office or whatever, because that's
Gotta
at
do
least
the
saying
oath
he's
of
doing it.
office.
send me an email, and then I'll bring it to the board.
And I'm with Scott too. I mean, I agree with him. I don't want to deny
I
a
appreciate
citizen to
the-
volunteer, but I can understand that this was before my time, so I don't know the whole situation of what actually happened and what went on as far as the letter and all that, so I can understand those two guys' concern. So I'm okay with appointing two, because everybody deserves a chance to volunteer. They want to volunteer. We're not paying them.
Okay, I'll reach out to I'll reach out again, and if I get a letter, I'll bring it to the
I mean,
board.
I can't do a nomination if I don't have a paper.
I know. We'll do it like that. Okay, guys,
All right.
next
The air
up,
conditioner broken today? Or is it just me
Feels
that's
like
warm?
it.
No,
Or is it just me that's
Nose
warm?
being cheap.
Jill's-
Is it just me that's warm?
had to-
Crank it up.
I feel warm.
We
The
had to,
ladies are going home.
we had to cut down on the energy so it could pay for the other building we just did.
I'm sorry to open that conversation. It was just a question. It was just a legitimate,
We're gonna
I thought it
move
was a
on.
legitimate question.
We're gonna move on.
yeah, it's up to you.
Next, we have a purchase and sales agreement for map 202, lot 1, Lynn Suite.
Come on up. Sorry to make you wait.
So in your packet, gentlemen, you had a copy of the purchase and sales agreement. There was an edit to that between when you got your packet and tonight. It's and I can pass it around if you guys want to see. There was an edit made to include language that talks about the Conservation Commission's vote on June 6th.
Okay.
And that paragraph is flagged in the,
Did so is the Conservation Commission supportive of the
yes.
Basically.
They're supportive of the easement, and they're supporting this through, I think they voted a maximum of $20,000 to help put it into conservation.
Now it's up to 20,000. I thought it was down around 15 or 14.
They voted not to exceed numbers, so that way they wouldn't pin themselves in to spend more, or not have enough money to spend.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase and sale agreement between the town of Northwood and Scotland Suite as is documented in purchase and sales agreement.
I'll second that for any discussion.
Any discussion?
I'm okay. I mean, we've discussed this a few times. I'm all set.
Seeing no discussion, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Passes 3-0.
So we'll be closing on that. I think we have to bring you some money by July 2nd meeting, so bring you a big check then.
Do we need to send this to
We only
us?
accept cash with small bills.
She might have to
All
sign
pennies.
this. Probably when they do it.
Joe, does she need to sign this tonight or when she comes in with the money?
Well, I can sign it tonight. My husband's signature, obviously Scott's not here, so at least you'll have my signature on it tonight.
Yeah, if he could come in when he has time.
Yep. Do you want me to take it with me tonight and bring it back tomorrow?
Oh,
You.
no, I can't, if he's driving by town hall, I'm always here.
Yeah.
You're always here?
I'm most ways here.
Or if Linda's here or whatever.
You're gonna be here at midnight if he wants to come by?
If he wants to come by at midnight, send him on over. I'll come meet him.
The busy man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, moving on to
That feels better. I said that feels better.
accepting of the minutes of May 9th, 2017.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of May 9th as written.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, call the vote. Aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0.
And then I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of May
I got
23rd.
noted on that.
I'll second, just, go ahead.
On page 11, there was a typo. It says map 23483, it should be 28463.
Okay.
Which one's that, on the 9th?
That was on the
23rd?
23rd, May
Okay.
23rd.
So you want to make, so I'll make an amendment to change on line 23 to change the map number to, from 83 to 63.
Thank you.
I'll second the amendment.
Any more discussion?
Based on that amendment, I'll make a motion to approve these things as amended.
I'll second that too. I just got, just a quick one. I had, somebody just mentioned, not these minutes per se, but some of the other minutes on the other committees.
Minutes or other committees?
Other committee minutes, that some of the abbreviations and they're not, I guess some people are just, some of the stuff is getting left out. They're saying just, instead of it writing out all the discussion, which I can understand, she doesn't want to write out everything that was discussed. They're just writing discussion ensued, and some people are afraid some things are getting missing. And I just trying to point it out there that I had some people just on other committees. Not these minutes, just other ones. I just wanted to hit it on it.
Yep. Let me look into it. We'll see what's up.
Yeah, I don't think she's doing anything wrong. I think it's just some people want more information than what's there. You can't ever make everybody happy.
Yeah, I know it. Okay.
So, we voted, right?
No, we need to vote.
Yeah,
Need the vote. Call the vote.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0. Moving on to assessing forms and applications.
Cemetery deed and perpetual care. There's two places to sign on that.
I'll make a motion that we approve perpetual care contract and a cemetery deed for George S. Jr. and Sandra Adams.
Second. Oh. It's all right.
Any discussion?
I have
Seeing none, call the vote.
Aye.
Aye. You ayes, Scott?
I said aye?
Oh, did you? Didn't hear you.
Sorry.
Passes 3-0. What's next?
In these, I have 2 veterans credits.
How come there's more veterans credit come in? We already denied some. Why is there more coming in now? We've
It's-
already denied some that said they applied late, so how is there more coming in now?
They can apply this year, but the credit doesn't take effect until next
So
year.
none of these are for this year.
For next year.
Yeah, the credit starts next year. They missed the deadline for this year.
All right, so I have,
Yeah, they can apply.
I
anytime.
have, I have two, I have 2 veterans credits. Tax map 224 lot 28, and I know, for the record, it's 91 Blake's Hill Road. And then we got tax map 231 lot 26, 66 Green Street. If somebody wants to, both of them meet the qualifications, so I'll move them for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll call the vote.
Aye.
Passes 3-0.
I'll make a motion to approve the dues in the amount of $4,970.98 to Stratford Regional Planning Commission.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
No.
Here are none, call the vote.
Aye.
Passes 3-0.
I'll make a motion to approve purchase order for Mainstay. Is it Mainstay Technologies? I think it's Mainstay.
Mainstay.
It's a server replacement, includes labor and software in the amount of $6,347.22.
I'll second that. Is this part of the new system that we're getting?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Any
have
discussion?
That was
Seeing none?
Aye.
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 I actually have a
3
little,
to 0.
you're good. I interrupted you.
No, that's all right, go ahead.
I have great news about this. We saved $2,000 on the, almost $3,000 on the actual server purchase. And just by asking Mainstay, we managed to save $5,386 on the software.
Awesome.
So, yeah, overall, we saved more than $8,000 on that purchase from what the original quote was. So that was huge for us.
It's very nice. It's good.
The manifest.
Manifest,
It's a big boy today because the school is taking a little more than 400,000.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the Town of Northwood check register. It's manifest number V 2017, number 13. It's in the amount of $567,135.19. So moved.
Second.
any discussion?
So there was the big payment was the school payment,
Yep.
and that was 400 and,
Yeah, 400 and change, 400,050 and change, I think.
Seeing no more discussion, we'll call for the vote.
Aye.
Passes 3 to 0.
so you got any miscellaneous? Signatures?
Yeah, we have a lot of miscellaneous today. We'll start with Miss Judy Pease. She's requesting that you ask her to proceed searching and notification of mortgagees on any parcel which the town liens and deeds as required by RSA.
So moved.
Second.
And I'd like to add that this will allow Rick Wolf as chairman to sign this letter.
Any discussion? I'd like to read it.
This is an annual thing that Judy does.
Would you like to read it?
No, correct, this is basically if they're behind, she gets to send something out,
Notifies
right?
them.
Notifies them, yeah. I mean, this is just so she can do her job. I'm okay.
Any more discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote.
Aye.
It's an agreement and a release for Pender.
Okay, this is an agreement and release, regarding building permits for Class 6 and private roads. And it's for map 210, lot 65, and the address is 81 Pender. I'll move this for approval.
I'll second for discussion. Is there any comments from like the zoning board or anything on that? Or is this just before that?
No, not on this. This is the Pender Road development.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's that lot up there.
yeah.
I was just wondering, I didn't know if this was one of those, I know we have a lot of sticky situations. I always ask because of what we have with these, but
This is one of the existing lots.
that's fine.
too.
I just asking because I know the development stuff is there's some things that we always question, so I was just wondering.
Nope.
All right, we're good then. We just gotta vote.
Oh, thanks.
Good call for a vote.
Call
Yeah,
for the
we're gonna
vote.
need-
Was I taken
Aye.
off the dog
Aye.
warrant? Aye.
No, you're still in there.
Because
Passes 3 to
I
0.
went in and paid. Did she tell you I came in and paid?
Yeah, she told me.
And I want to go on record that I paid a penalty too. And I'm not even going to request that it get waived.
Wow. What'd you get spanked for?
I registered my dog late.
Oh, jeez.
I'll make a motion to sign the dog warrant, 2017.
I'll second.
It's, what's it say? Further remit, I'll collect that. So, yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say.
I'll
I hope
second.
it's accurate this year, because I don't have any dogs left, and last year they thought I did, so.
Oh,
Don't you have
Hopefully
like a...
they've done
Yeah, I got
right.
one. I got one last year too
You have
because
like
it was under both me and my
ghost
my
dog?
woman's name.
that like wanders around?
No, I got a stuffed one sitting on my couch in memory, that's it.
Did you stuff it?
No, I didn't stuff
I
my
don't.
dog.
All right, I'm all set to vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I got one last year too, Scott, because my dog was in both me and my girlfriend's name, and we had to go back. Judy fixed it, but you're right, accurate.
Workman's comp from Primex.
Both of my dogs are gone.
Time to get a new one.
No, no more dogs.
So, yeah, actually, I'll make a, so, so this is what, Town of Northwood, the option of participating in the contribution assurance program, CAP. So, I didn't read this, could you give me a little detail on what we're doing?
This is our workman's comp program through Primex.
So what's the amount we're approving tonight?
I think it's just to join the program.
Oh, okay, that's what I was trying.
Yeah, there's not a,
So we're not spending any money?
yeah, there's not a dollar.
That was
amount
my
of this,
question. All right, I'll make a motion to enter into the contribution insurance program, also called CAP, for calendar year 2018 with Primex.
A second.
Any discussion?
I'm all set.
Seeing none?
Aye.
Vote aye.
Aye. All right, title. Oh, yeah, I'm assuming I gotta add here that it looks like this just needs to be signed by the chair.
By the chair, yes.
So
Okay with that.
This one is also just signed by
I
the chair.
also agree that Rick can sign this. Are you in agreement that?
I am. Let him sign it. Sign away.
You can sign it.
Sign away.
Any other miscellaneous?
Yes, here you go. Oh, we're still going, man.
Want to switch seats next time?
I'm kidding.
Would you please? Yeah, funny.
Oh, this is the Vashon and Cloquet. Oh,
Yeah,
this is the representation letter,
yep.
Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion to approve Rick Wolf signing on behalf of the board the representation letter. Gee, Rick, you might want to read some of these things. Basically, all right, I'll make the motion to allow the chairman to sign this on behalf of the board.
I'll second. If he would like to take the time to read it, that's up to him.
Well, I'm not gonna read it right now, I'm sure.
No, it's actually all it is you're saying that we released, we made available all information that the auditors needed to make their assessment of our, do the audit, and that we weren't aware of any misstatements. So you're basically just saying that
Everything is true.
everything,
Yeah, there was no.
to the best of
our
to the best of our knowledge, everything's true and correct.
She just spoke, so I'm sure if there was any problems, we would have heard it.
She would let you know.
All right.
Once upon a time, I used to be an auditor. All right, what else you got?
Oh, oaths of offices for the zoning board. These are both one-year terms because they're alternates.
I'll make a motion to approve Roger Belanger as an alternate to the ZBA. His term of office expires March 31st, 2018.
I'll second that one. Do we
Okay.
gotta do them individually? Or do you want to do them?
Might as well, so, you want any discussion on these? Or?
No.
Okay. So.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0. Any others?
Yeah, oh, these are both the same guy. Hold on. Oh, wait, I apologize.
It's okay, you read the other one. We
I
can
read
sign
this
that.
one. This one is Brenda D'Amato. Am I pronouncing that? D'Amato?
Brenda D'Amadio.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve her as an alternate, who term office ends on June 13th. Oh, sorry, ends on March 31st, 2018.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none? All in favor?
Aye.
You had me worried that I printed out the same one.
Oh, no, I signed the wrong one.
He signed the one he didn't
Wait a
read.
second, this is the same name.
He didn't have his coffee today. He's not dunking it.
Oh, so I'm not wearing my cheaters.
Oh, yeah. Blame it on the glasses.
So,
Well, we're back to a discussion about the collection agency for the ambulance payments.
yeah, I looked at that, it doesn't give us much information other than what we had before,
Yeah,
like nothing.
Did you get the,
I did.
Speaking of
But it
that,
still doesn't tell you
do we
anything.
have any update on what's going on with that? Have we found somebody to finish it? Did we?
No,
we did-
no, this is billing.
All right.
these?
We're on
So
billing
the-
first.
So this is the aging.
That's the aging report.
Okay.
I mean, some of them are for not a lot of money, and there's some that, basically, everybody that got paid from their insurance company and kept the money that they should have paid us, we definitely need to go after those people.
Oh, is that,
Yeah, there's a bunch of them that got paid by their insurance company and
Oh.
didn't pay us.
so how do we, well, the ones that took the money from the insurance company, we're turning them over to the
The collection?
collection.
Definitely those. And
Those ones we are, yeah.
I didn't know if we were gonna look at an amount, because some of them are 100 and something.
I mean, my point is,
I think anything under 500, but that's my opinion. If they didn't get money from their insurance company.
I didn't know what amount we were gonna go with. I mean, if
It's
we're gonna
up to
chase
you. I
$100
mean-
through a collecting
so,
agency.
let me ask you this question. So we are aware that some of them did get paid by
It tells
insurance
you right
company?
there.
Oh,
It tells you in the paperwork. I got it right here. I'll show you. I underlined them. It said paid by insurance company. I got it right here somewhere.
so.
I highlighted it.
Yeah, I think any of the ones that, do we have to motion that, or can we just give you an
Look, this one,
overall,
see what this
anyone
says
that
here?
was
Insurance paid.
respond, so anyone that got paid,
Okay.
I'll put the motion like this. Anyone that we have proof was paid for the ambulance by their insurance company and decide to cash the check and keep the money, I'd like to turn over for collection,
I'll second that.
which will be put on a credit report, correct? Don't
That
they-
should be. That's kind of like fraud.
That's kind of like, that's like,
That's blatant.
that's money that's not due them, that's due to us. You follow what I'm saying?
I find, yeah, no, I
So
100%
he's
follow what you're
got a
saying.
report that tells you that they know the insurance paid that,
See
why
this
did,
one?
why did the insurance pay them and not us?
There's like
Well,
five
It,
of
it
them.
may be the point that the insurance paid up to a certain level, and then now there's a balance remaining. That report doesn't necessarily tell us that
This
they got the
says-
full amount.
This says right here,
Insurance paid patient.
so the money went to the patient, not us.
Right.
Is
They
that,
paid the patient.
but do we know that's the total amount? Because I know when I go to the doctor, I'll get bills like 6 months later for things I didn't even know I did.
Well, there's some other ones that are over the limit. What's that mean? Over the time limit? Do we have a right to collect them? Does that
It
mean
means they
over
couldn't, it
3
was
years?
over their, my guess is that probably means they were past their deductible or
Collection
something,
time?
maybe, possibly.
Well, usually it's 3 to 4 years.
Well, some says over filing limit. I don't know what that means.
It's probably, for example, like where I work as tax administrator, if I find somebody who owes fuel tax, but it's over, let's say, 4
You
years
can't
old,
collect it.
I'm out of luck, I can't go after them.
Right, so I guess that's what that means, and I was
I
wondering.
have another point too with the hospital bill too. I find that a lot of the, when you send them to these collections, especially with hospital bills, generally if they settle out of court, the price is drastically different than what it says there.
Well, a lot of times, the insurance companies have an agreement with the hospital, say, like, I pay X number of dollars for this kind of like, you'll hear, like, on the news, like, Exeter Hospital might not have finalized their agreement with Blue Cross Blue Shield for, I'm not, just hypothetical, so that, you know, like, I ran this thing, like, the state says you can't use this hospital because they're not covered or something under, but they all get resolved, but the point I'm trying to make is, that some of these,
Some of these are quite high.
Another point, there's some deceased people and there's some
Yeah.
bankruptcies. Obviously, we can't go after those either.
Yep.
So,
well, you can't go after bankruptcies, but you can actually go, I'm just saying, you can go after the estate.
I don't think
there's no estate that says, it
Oh,
says,
all right.
I
it says
think-
deceased, no.
I mean, if it says it's uncollectible,
Plus it's such a
does
mess.
it actually say it's uncollectible?
Does it say uncollectible on
It says
this one?
deceased, no estate.
It says no estate,
So that's
basically that
so
means.
those are uncollectible.
Yep.
Plus, it's a very low amount anyways.
So my point was that we should take a look at those ones, the ones that the people actually kept the money. I would like to make a motion to go after those.
I agree.
We got some as small as $128,
How about
$116.
How about anyone under $200 we waive?
I'm okay with that too. Either one.
What's
Both
the
of those.
magical number you
Both
want to
of
use?
That's what I'm looking for, yeah.
Both of those are reasonable. I mean, I don't know, is it worth our time to go for anything under $200? That's the question.
No.
Well,
I don't think so,
This is a collection agency, so they're gonna go after the folks, they're gonna take a percentage and give
Right, we're
what's
probably
left
gonna
back
get
up.
$20 out of the deal if we go for, because, like I said, most of the time, if you get a hospital bill and it's past due, and you call them, generally they'll
But if somebody.
settle for like
But if some-
80% less, usually. It's
Yeah.
insane.
But if somebody's like actually taking the money.
Oh, I agree with you as far as if they're taking the insurance money, we should go after them.
Yeah.
I agree with that. But
That's
what I'm
like
saying,
fraud.
as far as like the 100, like, there's one in here for $93. If we go after that,
No, I-
they're gonna call and say, hey, can
I-
we settle? And they're gonna be like, oh yeah,
I
send
think-
us $35 or something, you know?
Actually, I think anything under $200 is not worth that.
Yeah, I agree.
So I guess I'll make a motion that anyone that's under $200, we will pass on, say don't bother trying to collect it. And anyone that's over $200 and we know a check was paid to them, I would like to follow up with them. So I'd like to turn them over to the not the credit agency, but the collection agency, which I think they report them to the credit agency.
I think all these are gonna go to the.
I'll
collection
second that.
agency.
I have one more quick discussion. I see another one in here that says Medicaid no contract. What does that actually technically mean? Does that mean that,
Probably didn't have Medicaid.
They have Medicaid, but they don't have any, Medicaid probably paid up to a certain amount.
I just didn't know if that's just what that
So if
meant.
if they're getting Medicaid, they're probably financially strapped.
I didn't know if you wanted to opt those ones out too. There's a couple of them on here. They're over the $200 limit that we were talking about.
Are they on Medicaid?
It says, there's one here, on page 4, Medicaid, no contract for 407. It looks like there's 2 of them for the same exact money, same exact.
Could you verify, Joe, what Medicaid no contract? I'm assuming they're on Medicaid, is that what that means?
I think it's exactly what you said, it's that they're on Medicaid, but they
So-
didn't,
Another one on the next page. There's a
So
few
like,
of them.
all right, let me amend my motion. I didn't actually make a motion yet, I did, but I did.
you did, you did.
Let me, did you second my motion?
We can take it back.
All right, let's take it back.
I'll take back my
All right,
second.
so I would like to make a motion that we let anyone under $200 go, okay? Second, any of these patients, or customers, I guess, the ambulance applicants, that are on Medicaid with no contract, we let those go. All the ones that are over $200 and any ones that were, where we know the person got paid by the insurance company, I would like to turn over the collections.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Is that clear enough direction?
Yes.
I have one
We'll
more
make it
comment.
happen.
I have one more comment. I noticed there's probably 10 or a dozen or more that has no correct address. I mean, obviously when they take someone to the hospital, they don't have any identification.
Yeah, collections will find that out.
Well, this has already been the collections. These have already been the collections. If you look at it, it says no response from patient, didn't respond. They all got.
Yeah, we can
they've
have, that
already-
doesn't, just
Oh,
because we're having
these are the
collections.
ones we're talking about writing off?
No.
No, turning them, no, they haven't gone to collections yet, right?
Well, how can they have comments?
Some of these have, so.
No response to collection letter. What does that
Well,
mean?
what do we, okay.
This is very
I know.
confusing. This
What do we-
report we got,
Well, I asked for the report.
I know, but they can't give any public information. That's why it's confusing. A lot of these already have been in collections and haven't been collected, if you read the paperwork.
Okay, but my understanding is we asked for an aging, which is here. We got this report.
Right.
I think we're asking I think what they're asking us is, are these the ones you want to turn over? If I recall, this is the ones that are gonna get turned over to the, bad credit.
No, they're already in the collecting
Oh,
agency.
bad credit.
In other words, it's gonna go on their
They
credit
haven't been
report.
reported to a credit agency, correct?
Well, if you're in collection, how can you not be reported to a collecting agency?
Clarify, Joe.
Thank you. What we came to talk about was, does the let's start with what we want to do. Does the Board of Selectmen want to hire a collection agency?
Yes,
Okay,
based on a percentage of like whatever they
yep,
collect.
so we have that paperwork here. So yes, you want to do that.
Yeah.
We can vote on that in a second. Now, you need to decide which ones you want to chase down and which ones you don't.
Right.
These, now,
We already made the motion, Phil. We already
Let
made
him
the
finish.
let me finish. Our ambulance service currently does chase down some patients, depending on the level of how much they owe. So if you see in here that, oh, they went to collection but didn't get caught, or didn't pay, is because they did try, but that's not their number one job, is to be a collection agency. They're an ambulance
They're
company.
billing, they're
Yeah.
invoicing.
So they're trying to collect, but went to collection means more like somebody sitting in a back office saying, yeah, I tried.
That's all
but
they
I couldn't
do.
it. Yeah, so what you're really asking today is, do we want to start a collection, use a collection agency to go after these people?
Correct.
That's it.
All right. So can we vote on Scott's first motion and then we'll go back to the other
So
one?
to repeat the motion, mine was to, let the Medicaid patients go. Anyone's under $200, we let those go. The ones over $200, we turn over to collections.
If they've been paid.
Oh, no, the ones,
Oh.
all of them, and if the ones that actually know they got the money from the insurance company.
Yeah, okay.
I'll second again.
All right, and I would need a vote on that.
Any other comments?
No,
Aye.
None, aye.
aye.
Now we
Passes
need
3-0.
I'll make a motion to hire a collection agency or enter into an agreement with a collection agency to make this happen.
Okay.
I'll second that.
And if you could amend the motion to either, yes, send to these people to credit reporting, or not. You have that option to do this.
Oh, yeah, I want to send,
It's his motion.
okay, sorry.
I'll amend it to send to the collection agency, the credit report.
Yes.
All of them, or just,
Just the ones we know got paid by the.
Just the ones that we know got paid by insurance. The other ones we'll try to collect without reporting them, like, right? Is that what you're saying,
that's
Scott?
the way I'd like to see it.
That's the way I like to
The
see it
ones we
too.
know received a check from the insurance company, kept it.
Yes, we will
I would
report to
like to report to the credit agency.
I agree. Well, that will be my motion.
Okay, and we need one more part to this. You can, when you choose this company, you can let them offer a reduction of 25%, 35%, or no percent to the patient.
What do you guys think, 25?
I'm okay with 25.
Yeah, I'd like to amend that motion to allow the collection agency to offer, is it up to or 25? Is it just a flat rate?
Typically, they'll just say, look, if you pay
It's
this
tw-
today.
all right,
if
so
you pay this
25%.
today, I'll take 25% off.
Allow them to take 25% if,
They don't negotiate.
no, I know, that's what I was saying earlier. If we had a $90 payment and then they take 25% of that off, we're gonna get $10.
Right now, we got no money.
I know.
We get $10, it's better than nothing.
I might buy you a drink.
Yeah, it will. Well, it won't buy me a drink, it'll go to Joe's salary, and then
then
Joe
I'll
gets paid.
go
he can
buy-
Then Joe can buy you a drink.
Okay, so I've marked that down on this sheet if you want to review it, and then we have a first and a second, and then Rick Wolf signs this.
All right.
I gotta be the bad guy.
I'll amend that motion to allow the chairman to sign it before, as part for the board. Now we just need to take a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Not really the bad guy, you gotta pay your bills.
All I know is, I registered my dogs late, and I paid a penalty.
They can still come to us and
Thank
see
you,
if we can
Scott,
waive it.
for your
I'm
donation.
hoping to make the town better with more money to.
I paid my dog bill.
That was for collection.
What else we moving on to?
Boy, that was a tough one.
Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah.
But the paperwork didn't help.
That's,
When it
yeah,
was written out, I know this Privacy Act, so the paperwork was confusing.
HIPAA, yes. We put out a RFP for actuarial services. We got one response. This is for the Gatsby that Jen Dore was talking about.
It's for what?
The actuarial review of Gatsby, Scott, what's the Gatsby number? 65?
It changed. It was actually, it was originally Gatsby 34, and then, tell you the truth, I can't
I
remember.
thought it was, so.
That's
But
from
if you buy state and local government, that'll be in there.
I got it, I started reading it.
so this is from the auditor.
So, no, this is from an actuary. We got one bid from Linda, KMS Actuarials, Linda Boinville. She's a consulting actuary, and her bid is, Gatsby 45.
45, I was close.
Wow. What do we budget for that?
I forget now.
$12,500.
Oh, no, I think we said 15.
Oh, did we say
I
15?
believe so. Let me get my book though, just to make sure.
I thought we did like.
I'll second it for discussion, just so that way we can move the
Well,
process
no,
along.
I'm just reading the bid, I'm just reading
Alright.
out, I'm just saying what the bid was.
All right.
Yeah, I guess we would need, what do we have in the budget
Yeah,
for
let
that?
me check. I want to say 15.
Was it 15?
I want to say it was, but let me check.
Seems like a lot of money for a report. But I'm not a money man, so. What's your opinion?
I wanna see what we budgeted first.
That's gonna make the difference.
No, well, if we only, I should say, if the town only budgeted, like $7,000 for it, depending on how the money is, we might not have the money to do it.
So, who is it that wants to move up here in this building?
Judy?
Is it her?
Who wants to move into the building? What department wants to move into the building?
Everybody does.
So is there gonna be some sort of big argument?
What, do
when
we have
do
a
that?
lottery?
I think we should do it to the
That's my new office.
highest bidder.
Hey, all right. Gatsby, where are you? That's, I was waiting for it, Gary. Can't be right. Wait for it, guys, it's coming. Oh, no, I lied, I'm sorry, we have $6,000 budgeted for that.
Wow.
I guess we won't be doing that then for a while.
Well, my question is there,
I think we need to have more conversation about it, because we're not
It's-
gonna settle it right now, obviously.
We've been squeezing the budget, and I'm overly paranoid about bottom line budget, so I could ask Sandy to crunch some numbers and see how we're doing, but
What are we?
we did ask the budget committee that we wanted to do this, but we'll just have to tell them we didn't have enough money.
yeah, and without putting it out to bid prior to, we didn't know how much it was gonna cost. We didn't have any idea.
We got 50% of what it cost.
No.
Is this something that we could put off to next year? We kind of got a rough idea of what it might cost.
Yeah. This
Well,
kind of,
could you, we need to respond to this that we didn't accept their bid.
Yep.
Or could you respond saying,
due to lack of funds.
Well, so we only had, what did we appropriate?
6,000?
Say we only appropriated $6,000 for this, and we're gonna have to
Fine.
revisit it next year, because we didn't appropriate enough money to do this.
Yep.
I know sometimes they might come back and say, lower their price.
Yeah, we'll see.
Because, do we do that here where we, like, if we get one bid, we, like, I know at the state, we do best and final offer?
So what's the question?
So you call up and say, hey, you bid at 12.5, can you do better than that?
Oh, yeah, all the contracts have clauses where we can go back and negotiate them down.
Like, could you call them back and just explain to them, I mean, I'm not, don't tell them how much we have, but, well, maybe, but say, can you do a little, I mean, like, if this was like maybe $8,000, we could swing it. I would really like to do this so that we got a clean opinion on the financials.
We'll know better towards the end of the year too, if there's funds that will be
Yeah, but
left
the
over.
thing is, you gotta kinda have this, you can't wait till the end of the year to do this. You gotta kinda have this done prior to the end of the year.
This would be for 16.
I know it's for 16, but I'll tell you right now, the auditors, when they do the state, they come in 3 months before year end and start audit procedures.
Oh, you're just saying they won't have enough time to work.
Well, I'm just saying, then you come in, the auditors are here, and then the auditors are gonna have to wait for this to be completed.
Mm,
I don't know how long one of these takes, I never did one.
yeah, I never had either. That's my first try. Okay.
Well,
I'll go back to
why don't we just table it? Can we table it?
It's fine with me.
Could you talk with Sandy and come back to the next meeting?
Yeah, we'll see if we, see what the budget's looking like.
Here's the, I'm sorry, I didn't give you everything.
Gentlemen, that's all I have for you. Oh, yeah, that's all I
No credit cards, no CIP, nothing.
I do have my town administrator report. Heads up, so paving, Temperance Hill paving and Lower Deerfield paving was done. They still need to do shoulders. Janice Pond, reconstruction starts on the 19th.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So Janice Pond, it's actually Janice Pond Road, right?
Yes.
So,
Part of it, it's not the whole road.
yeah, I know, so what part, precisely what part? I'm kinda like, just to let you know, I drove up there the other day, cause I was like, oh, they're doing all this work, I wanna see what they did on Janice Pond. So they don't start till the 19th.
Yeah.
Right.
So is it from,
The hill up.
oh, from the hill up?
Towards Lake Shore Farms.
Okay, and how far are they going?
To Lake Shore Farm right after it, as far as I know.
Oh, and then they're stopping there? Okay.
Yep. There was a portion we did a few years ago, so at that joint, and then up to Lake Shore Farm up towards the hill.
So it is being done. I was going, oh my God, they didn't do this. I thought they were supposed to do this, but okay.
Yep. Tree removal, Lower Deerfield's done. Janice Pond still needs to be stumped. He's gonna start that next week. He said he's gonna be done before the paver gets there.
What do you mean by stunt? They're gonna grind them, or what are they doing?
You know, they're gonna grind them where they can. They're gonna just pull them straight out or they're gonna pull them out if they can, grind them if they can. In Sherburne Hill, the tree remover called me and he started on Sherburne Hill already. He took down that big tree that people keep running into around that corner. So that one's done.
That one's been hit many times. Had a lot of scars on it.
Credit card machines, we had our first trial run last Thursday. It worked. We're having a little bit of trouble with the printer, and the credit card company's working to resolve that now. Heads up, they're doing vegetation control along the power line, so they're putting out herbicides, just in case you guys are out there on four-wheelers.
Not supposed to be.
Oh, not supposed to be out there on four-wheelers. And we had a meeting with David Price at DES about Old Pittsfield Road. They're requesting that we do some vernal pool restoration, and that's not going to take place until it gets a little warmer, July or August. We need to let that pool dry up a little bit before we start digging. Oh shit, they're still alive. Okay, and last thing, DOT's looking for the preliminary estimates for the other red-listed bridge down on Old Canterbury Road, so we're going to start working on that too, to get those numbers up and running. And gentlemen, that's all I have for you in public.
I got a quick one for the individual selectors report. I noticed a tree out front. We lost a couple more branches. I'm wondering if that's something we should consider taking down. Seems the other one just fell down. The two that are closest to the road. I'm nervous that they could fall into the road. I don't know if it's something that we should consider just removing them, because they're definitely at that point where they're gonna fall down at some point.
Yep, it's on the docket to take down.
Huh?
It's on the docket to take down, yeah.
Yeah,
I've spoke with the road agent about it too. It's
both of them are right there. And that's all I have for public anyways.
I think it'd be nice if we plant a couple of new trees too,
it would be.
to replace them.
Maybe further off the road so we don't have the road salt.
Right.
That's what killed those.
Plus we have a few trees out here that are gonna be removed too, right?
Yep. The dead ones over here by the playground.
That's all I have.
Yes, I have a couple things. I did already bring this to Joe's attention, but I wanted to, the last couple of years, we've been making a good attempt at going in and filling in potholes. I did notice
Some
that,
good ones.
and it's not just Tasca, but
Tasker's got some good ones.
Tasca's got some bad ones.
Weren't they digging up over there on the Stratford side?
Yeah, they are.
Well, yeah, on the strap, but I'm saying,
We got a couple of 4
there's
or
some,
5 inch
there's like,
ones.
there's potholes on Tasca like
Yeah.
this.
4 or
And
5
they're like
inches deep.
4 or 5 inches deep. And
We're gonna be buying tires.
my wife drove into one,
Oh, boy.
but that's okay because I should have known it was there, but she was driving. So, but my point is not only there, but well, obviously there's some on Sherman Hill, but they're
They're all
big.
over town.
They're big enough to damage cars. So I believe, don't he have something that he can pour in there just
Coal
to take
patch.
care of the coal
Yeah,
patch for
they'll-
the season?
They'll throw coal patch on it.
So I think there's a couple spots on Sherman.
There's a bunch all over town.
Tasca.
Ridge Road.
Yeah, I'm not just saying Tasca. I mean, I've
We
seen
need
them
the
all.
crews
We get them out there and look around, basically.
So if you could pass that along to Charlie, which I know you already have, but I think it's more than just Tasca.
Yeah. They pick
They
away
have
at it.
been pretty good about keeping up with that. And then another thing is, I opened this tonight. We got a letter from Northeast Resource Recovery Association. This is something voting member. So my question was,
What it is.
who goes up there and represents the town at those, attends those meetings?
I've been and attended a few times, but
Because there's members throughout that attend the monthly member operations marketing meetings here. They saw that. So what I'd like to do is take a look at this, but if you could, is anybody on the recycling committee interested in attending those? Or is this something we should be attending?
Do you have to attend them all the time? I know
I'm just letting you know, I got.
No, I know. When I used to have to get my certifications renewed, this is where you could go. You'd have to go to 2 a year. I don't know if we could kind of factor that into because we have 3 employees. That would be 6 meetings, basically.
yeah, we don't need to go. It's not necessary to go, but
is it
as a voting
is it-
member, it does give you
Is
some.
it beneficial?
The ones I went to, I found it to be beneficial.
I found the ones that I've been to,
I'm a
they're
dork.
beneficial to the extent that every one you go to, they give you a printout of pricing.
Yes.
Is that something we should send,
Pricing of what we're getting, what we're paying, what we're getting.
send Joe to that?
He's at his max hours right now.
The problem is what happened is.
Make him do it for free.
Well, no, what happened is when we originally downsized his hours, he was supposed to get a day off during the week to do these things. And he expressed that he didn't want to do that. He wanted to stay on the 4 days that we were open. And I originally voiced a concern that he wasn't going to be able to do these things. Now we're running into that exact problem. So we have the 3 guys. He could go on a day that he could have a day off. Not a day off, but he could take a day off that we're open and give one of the other 2 guys the extra hours.
Well, it's only once a month.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, we have the guys in order for him to do it. And I think that personally, I'd rather see us give one of the other two guys a couple hours at the dump and have him go to these as the supervisor. That would be more beneficial for him than to be working for those 2 hours. That's just my opinion. I mean, he's not like he's losing the hours. He's just going to this instead of being at the transfer station. We just have to cover him with one of the other two guys. I believe they're on Wednesdays, right? Correct? The meetings are usually on Wednesdays?
You have it right in front of you.
I believe they're on Wednesdays.
I didn't see where it said, but
I'm almost positive they're on Wednesdays. They're usually Wednesday mornings. Yeah.
I'll see what I can do. I think with the limited manpower, I don't think that he can take a day off to go do that.
I mean, limited manpower. We got 3 people and we have a guy on call.
If we use the call guy, we could do that, but that's
We don't
gonna,
even have
that's
to use
gonna,
the
that's
call
gonna
guy
pop the
because
budget.
we wouldn't even have to use the call guy because when we first originally downsized this thing, we had it set up that one of the 2 part-time guys would have 3 days. Actually, they would both the part-time guys would have 3 days, and then they'd all work 3 days, and his 4th day would be a day to do this sort of thing plus his other daily chores. And he expressed the interest that he wanted to work the 4 days we were open and not have that day to do this stuff. And the concern was is he wouldn't have time to do this stuff. And now you're telling me you don't have the time to do this stuff. So that's his issue that he didn't want to do it.
All right, wait, I gotta ask a question. When you say below the budget, how often are these meetings? Once a month?
Once a month, yeah.
Okay, once a month. And how long do they last?
2 hours, hour and a half.
So
Because
you figure you pay him for 3 hours. 3 hours times
12
whatever
months.
his hourly rate is, times 12? You tell me that's gonna blow the budget?
$36,
What's he I mean,
$12 an hour, roughly. Just a rough, quick estimate.
12 times 3.
I gotta be honest with you, when I used to go, I never charged the town. That's just me. I'd go on my own time.
$432 is gonna blow the budget. Well, I forgot, I didn't include the town's share of social security.
Yep.
Well, plus you'd almost have to times that by 2 because you gotta pay the other guy to come in for the 3 hours.
Blow the budget as in his salary line will go over.
Yeah, but not if we go back to the original discussion.
We can't ask somebody to go to a meeting and they do it for free.
I'm not saying we could ask him to go free, but I'm saying, Scott, when we decided to change his hours,
Yes.
we said.
Oh, we had this whole conversation.
We said that we wanted him to have a day to himself to do these things, and he decided he didn't want to. So,
And when you said a day to himself, it was like a day for him to go up there.
go do this stuff and all, and not a day that we're open, so that way he could do this stuff. I mean, this is obviously done on a day that we're open, but that doesn't, he could take Wednesday off and go do this, do his paperwork. He could still work a couple hours at the transfer station, go home, and then the other person comes in. It's not like he's not losing hours as far as like pay. It's just taking hours away from him being there when we're open. That's the only thing that would be done. We'd still obviously have to have somebody cover.
But if it's gonna affect being able to do this actuarial thing, I'd rather have him not go to the meeting. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I don't mind. I'll go to the meeting. I've been to several of them. They're great. You have to go anyways, twice a year to get your renewal. It's
I don't
you either
wanna
go there or the state or the
I don't wanna
DMV.
beat this to death, but if there's some way we could make it work, I'd like to.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
I always get a chuckle at these recycling committees, and they print out these certificates that, like, what am I gonna, am I supposed to frame that?
They actually, when you go to their classes, you can actually go online and print out your own. That's how you get your when you send them to DES, that's how you get your certificate. I don't know. I did it for a long amount of periods of time. I know how it all goes.
That's all I
Any
have.
other comments?
Do you have any comments, sir?
I have none.
You got any non-public?
I do have a little bit of non-public. It's not too bad. It's not too bad.
I'll make a motion, citizens forum.
That's right.
There's no other citizens forum.
Second one?
Okay, great, sure.
Come on up.
Several years ago, I was elected to represent Northwood to the Southeast Watershed Alliance. I've been going there monthly, and I'm the quarterly meetings for a long time, but I've never reported to you. I would like to know what means of communication you would like best. Would you like a letter? Would you like a link to a YouTube video that says what we do? I'd like to request a little bit of support. We have no secretary, we have no means of support other than through our town, so I would ask for $200. But I would do that in a letter. But I also want you to know what we do. So how would you like to be communicated with? Like a little summary, an email, a letter, something else, a little video link so you can watch a video for a minute. You
Well,
know.
they videotape the meetings.
We don't tape the meeting. I would make a video.
You would make the video.
I would make a video, yes. Might get comments from each of our board of director members and let you know what we do.
Where do they have the meetings?
We have them in Portsmouth.
Oh,
And then the quarterlies go around the 42 communities.
Just a quick question. I'm okay with a video, but I know Rick's not into the smartphone thing. Is it too much to ask to do a video and a letter?
No.
I mean, only because I know some people don't get into the smartphone thing and would rather have the letter. I'm okay with either one.
Okay, if you're okay with either one, can you do the letter?
Yeah, that's fine.
That would
It's
be
fine.
easier, and I
Either
think
one.
it would be
Either
a
one
lot
is,
less
yeah,
on
letter.
you.
I didn't know which one would be. I guess what I'm saying is
I think you're
whichever one
kinda
you
excited
think would
about
be
the
the
video.
most beneficial, I'd rather you do. You know what I mean? I'm okay with whatever you choose. I also want you to be able to get your point across, whatever you feel is the best way to get it across.
Okay. And otherwise, I can just appear to you again.
Yeah,
But I can just submit a letter.
yeah,
Whatever your preference.
yeah. Letter's fine.
I think the video's going a little too far.
Yeah, letter's
Too
fine.
time consuming for you. You're there for a meeting, you gotta try to video and keep track of what you're doing. It's
Yeah, I take.
asking a little
Yeah,
much.
letter's fine.
Okay, thank you.
thanks.
Any other public comment? Lucy has none, I guess.
Can I motion to go into non-public on the RSA 91A?
3, going 2.
Which one do you darken up?
I don't know, he didn't get any.
RSA 91A3, paragraph 2, looks like D.
D. Yes. It's not very bold, is it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're now in non-public.
I'd like to make a motion to come out of non-public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do a roll call.
Donald Hudson, yay.
Scott Breyer, yes.
Rick Wolf, yes.
I'd like to make a motion to seal the minutes,
I'll second
public session.
that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to make a
3-0.
motion regarding map 219, lot 35. I'd like to make a motion to waive, give an abatement request in the amount of $2,978.92.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then I would like to make an abatement request, map 234, lot 63, in the amount of $4,296.88.
Aye.
Aye.
Mean second, sorry.
All
We
in
need to
favor?
vote. Aye.
Passes 3-0.
Tired,
I'd
sorry.
like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.